Hello, I'm Ann Van Leynseele with Northwest Marijuana Law, based out of Seattle, but moving into Oregon. I'm excited to bring a year plus knowledge of the industry and how cannabis corporate law works to Oregon businesses that are interested in being compliant and successful. I have a very collaborative approach on how I practice law.
From a legal standpoint, are there specific trends that people in the business should be aware of?
Well, I find a lot of people come to an attorney only after they're in trouble. Where I like to approach it is I'm more like your primary care physician. I can help your business have a strong and healthy and viable platform, and therefore your contracts will be enforceable, and a lot of the details of your day-to-day business will be sound and kind of safe from getting into trouble in the first place.
Would you say that people should come straight to an attorney before starting their business, or go in conjunction with a consultant as well?
I think business management consultants in this area are very dangerous. I think that they're putting themselves forward as legal advice. This industry, like any other industry, the two essentials are you need a really good CPA and a really good accountant.
And a good attorney.
Sorry, I said CPA and attorney is what I meant to say.
So, based on what you've seen in Washington with this industry, do you have any predictions about what might happen in Oregon?
Well, it's going to be very different. Oregon is not limiting the number of licenses. So a lot of the last year has been companies looking for partners and pairing up and going through the vetting process with the Liquor Control Board for licenses. Oregon's laws are quite different in that they are turning it into the wild and woolly west. It's every man for himself and let the free market settle out who's going to succeed and who's not.
Do you have any words of advice or caution for people building their business here?
Be very, very cautious about the number of partners in a business. The fewer voices, the better to begin with, and be very reluctant to take on investors that hold a long-term interest.
And what are you most having to clean up for your clients? What are sort of the things that are trending in terms of your business?
Companies that were either put together without legal counsel or with poor legal counsel that don't have a shareholders agreement or an operating agreement, because when there are disputes, that is the guideline for how disputes are resolved. And without that essential document in a company, you fall back to, by default, to the state laws and regulations on corporate structures and functioning. And that's a very unfortunate position. You can't go back to the attorney that originally put your corporation together. You have to go to another attorney. So I'm inheriting a lot of businesses that are falling apart and cleaning up other attorneys' work.
Do you have anything that you want to say specifically to women in this industry?
It's a fantastic opportunity. I'm part of the MJBA Women's Alliance Steering Committee, and we are continuing to reach and expand how we are teaching women to be stronger and more confident in their business transactions. Women often are acculturated out of being as assertive as they need to be. The cannabis industry is friendly enough and collaborative enough. There's plenty of room for everyone to succeed in this industry. But I certainly advise that, again, you seek counsel from a good, solid advisor that can guide you through a lot of the steps and help you avoid some of the mistakes.
What can Oregon learn from some of Washington's missteps?
From a legislative standpoint, I think I'm already working with your people on saying, don't do this and don't do that. From a business perspective, I think, again, going back to being smart at the inception of your business. And then once you're up and licensed and running, have a clear marketing plan and have a clear branding statement.
What made you decide to specialize in this business?
My background is business management consulting and then regulative law. I was in Washington, D.C. and helped write the ACA. And when I came back to Washington State, I saw a smart article in Time magazine about the Bureau of Reclamation withholding water rights to illegal cannabis industry, and it made me mad. I thought this is not reasonable. If Washington State legally wants to have this industry, there should be no barriers.
And is there any additional advice you'd like to offer to people who can't come to this type of conference but might be watching it online?
I think it's important to follow what your state is doing with regulations. Compliance is essential. Paying attention. If you're not able to process that information, again, talk to a qualified attorney who has experience in cannabis, that is not a former DUI attorney that used to defend. You're looking for a transactional attorney, not a litigator. A lot of people think an attorney is an attorney, and they're very different animals. Again, I go back to the specialist is a litigator. There are a lot of different areas of litigation specialty, whereas a corporate attorney such as myself, we are your general care attorneys. We can help you with all the details of setting up a solid and sound business.
For anyone who's Googling around for your type of service, do you mind just stating your name, your business name, and how it's best to contact you?
NWMJlaw.com. Marijuana lawyer. But again, look at the qualifications, look at the person, look at the attorneys. If you don't use me, please make sure that you're using a qualified business or corporate attorney, someone who has a background in business as opposed to court. It's very rare. I do administrative hearings. I never would presume to go into court. It's a very different practice. I am just so excited. I am waving in, I'm barring in Oregon. I'm looking forward to, again, bringing the experience, removing some of the learning curve that Oregon businesses are about to go through.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.